morning, everybody. Welcome to the Monday edition of Mornings with the Outlaw. I'm trying to change the kind of intros a little bit. Instead of saying brand new, I want to say Monday edition and Friday edition of Mornings with the Outlaw. I am the Outlaw, John Rocha, here, coming to you live from Beverly Hills, California, in our little Outlaw Nation studios. And I'm joined, as always, by my co-host right over there in St. Louis. How are you, Alex Shashek? How was your weekend? How are things? I like that shirt. It's
Thank
classy.
You. You can't. Thankfully, you can't see that. I just discovered there's a stain at the very bottom of it, so I'm like, that's real attractive. But I appreciate the compliment. You know, in the words of J. Scott for real, giddy up Mondays, giddy flipping up.
Let's get to it. So much to cover today. So much happening, of course. On the heels of the Skybound Expo, which will probably be the first thing we cover here. We got so much to talk about. This news coming out of China about Tenet. There's possible no time to die delays as well. Alison, Brie, Franco have come up with a new version of a rom-com, and also Alex and I are going to deep dive a little bit into the top 10 films, original films from Netflix, and what their viewership might mean for us going forward as viewers of Netflix and of Netflix itself. Now, on the heels of Ted Sarandos being, elevated to co-COO or co-CEO rather of Netflix itself. So a lot to get into, Plus, we'll be answering your Streamlabs and your Super Chats. So send those in today. It's Monday morning. Give us some love. Keep the Outlaw Nation studios afloat. You know, we live and die on those things. So please send them in, as many as you can. Let us know what you think about the world and what's going on. Ask us any questions you want. The Streamlabs address is right up there above Alex's head. Streamlabs.com/John Rocha says /tip. You got to add that /tip to get to where you need to be able to do that. Thank you to Sean Barreto, who is monitoring the chat today. Guys, keep it civil. Ladies as well. Guys and ladies, keep it civil. Keep it respectful. Don't get too out of hand, or else I'll have to block you. If I see you, you start sending in capital letter angry messages, and you're going out the door. That's how it works. You know, I don't put up with that stuff here in the Outlaw Nation. So
don't be an idiot.
Yeah, basically that.
Don't be an idiot.
Do not be an idiot. That's the best way to go about things. And I want to give a shout out to people who've subscribed to the Outlaw Nation over the last few days. Joseph Nekalik, Hanny Balking, 7593, Hobbit F. Andy. Oh, I got myself a Hobbit. Nice. Ooh. Joma Santiago and Nicholas Baldwin all subscribed to the Outlaw Nation over the last few days. So thank you so much for coming aboard the train. We're marching towards that 14,000 subscriber mark, trying to get to that 15,000 subscriber mark as well. Step by step, piece by piece, building it. So thank you so much for coming aboard. All right. How many we got of y'all watching in here right now? Let me see. Let me bring up the numbers before we start this thing off here. Oh, I should have pulled this up on YouTube. Okay, got about 83 y'all watching us live. Thank you so much. Got 44 likes. Remember to hit that like button as we go through the show. Would really appreciate it. All right, and let's jump into our first story here, Alex. It's coming to us on the heels of everything that happened this weekend at the Skybound Expo. This is a big deal here. As we're part of the Skybound network now with the Schmodown. SEN is, of course, a network under the umbrella of Skybound. Yes. There was a lot of news that dropped over the weekend. Certainly, there were some updates on the Rick Grimes movie. We had the incredible match between Chance Ellison and Robert Parker. The kid, the second kid is what I call Robert Parker. The second kid, he rolled in here, with all the expectations up against Chance Ellison. Chance hasn't always had the best luck in tournaments, but he showed up. He showed up against Robert Parker on Saturday. We're past the 24-hour window, so anybody who's upset about spoilers, I hate to break it to you, we're at 48 hours now at this point almost. So it was an incredible match. Great way to showcase the Schmodown. 1,300 people watched the match live. Pretty incredible. And apparently, Schmodown was the number one thing people were talking about in the chat rooms around the expo itself. Of course, we had friends of the show, Danny Fernandez, Hector Navarro, hosting that as well. And we got some news to break on Invincible and their cast, which is the new animated series for Amazon Prime. But first of all, did you watch this match, Alex? What did you think about everything that went on with the Skybound Expo this weekend?
Did I watch this match? Are you really asking me this as a Schmodown reactor? I'm offended. These matches were fantastic. It was I'm very vocal about it. I love me an upset. I love to be, taken by surprise and, also corrected as well. If I'm spouting nonsense, and everything. And, especially about a competitor or whatever it may be, I would love it if they really tapped me out and was just like, no. Nene, I got you. I got this. So I love it when that happens. So definitely come check us out if you like hearing me talk about Schmodown. It's always a good time.
Yeah.
But with Robert Parker, I've been very vocal about it. As someone, I cannot imagine the anxiety he must have felt, going into this, or just like, because there's so much hype around Parker, as a competitor in general. He's been talked about since last summer, last July.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, he hasn't even played yet. No pressure. Good Lord. Christian Harloff has talked about how he's the best IG competitor potentially of all time.
Right.
Ow. And, and he lost. And it was a great match. If you're going to lose, you definitely want it to be a kick-ass match. So that's all you can ask for sometimes.
I don't disagree. Sorry, I was taking a sip. Thought you were going to go on for a bit. I apologize. Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I thought this was, the thing is, everybody comes into the Schmodown with this idea of, this guy's going to do this, or this girl's going to do this, or this, this person's going to do this, and you just never know. It's so funny. A few weeks ago, we're like, Robert Parker is going to destroy everybody. What does Ace Cabrera do now after the destruction? Now look at this. Parker loses 2 chances, and here's Ace Cabrera with a shot at the Star Wars title. Yeah. You just never know what can happen in the Schmodown. So many great storylines play themselves out naturally. The human spirit to want to win takes over, to want to fight back and show people, what you can do. Chance Ellison, like I just mentioned earlier, not that strong in tournaments. Look at him showing out in this tournament, possibly, if he keeps going, setting up a corruption versus corruption final. And if that ends up happening, oh boy, for the rest of us who are keeping corruption at bay, we're not going to hear the end of it between the Plastic Queen and KO and the Chance, the Cobra.
Did you
the Cobra.
say the Plastic Queen?
I'm a Finstock exchange person. I don't know what you want me to say. I'm
you
just saying.
can just call her the Queen.
Nah, I'm good.
I'm sorry, wow.
Most of my queens don't hang out in the bottom of the ranking, so I'm just saying.
Wow.
We'll see as this
That's
goes.
the man that's never played in a match this year. Okay, whatever.
What did you say?
Have you played in matches this year?
Yes, I beat Paul Oyama, former champ of Paul.
You know what?
Oyama.
I stand corrected. There
Yes,
you go.
do.
I stand corrected. Absolutely.
You said corrected.
Absolutely. I accept it when I am correct. If I am wrong, and clearly I was wrong.
Yeah.
But still, you cannot deny the huge rise in the ranking. Sure, faction wise, it's neither here or there. But you cannot help but respect the real big changes. Like, she went from the bottom, like you said, the bottom of the barrel. So she's up there. She's and she's not, I'm not saying she's in the top tier of factions. So that's a very different conversation. She's not swag yet. Let's be honest. Drip. But at the same time, wow, they started racing real quick.
Yep. She's riding her 2 horses, that's for sure, and we'll see what they can do in the tournament here. But we had the news last week that one of their horses has been turned down a shot at the #1 contender spot to go for the singles title, and instead is entering in the tournament and has drawn Perry Nemiroff. Not an easy person to play. Perry is very knowledgeable about movies, and having been around her back when I worked at Collider, she does study hard when she's in a match. She won that movie release dates exhibition match last year. So don't sleep on Perry Nemiroff. This could blow up in their face. So we'll see how it all plays out. But you got to give love to both. You got to give love to Chance and Mike and what they're doing in the tournament. And absolutely, Shannon deserves credit as well. But I'm Finstock Exchange, so I can't give her too much credit.
If Chance ends up doing really well in the singles tournament, I'm calling it right here. He'll get a nomination for Player of the Year. Yeah,
absolutely. Why not? If you run through both tournaments and you do well, how can you not be in contention for Player of the Year? 100%. Absolutely. Yeah. Can't deny that at all. Anyway, but there was also some big news, and you guys can watch that match. It's up there now for you all to enjoy. And shout out to Robert Parker. Hey, man, the pressure can get to you sometimes, but it's not like you got blown out. You only missed 2 questions. That happens. Pick yourself up, kid. Now you're the underdog. Now you go roll in there and show what you can do. So these are all the changes that happen in the world of the Schmoedown, and it's always crazy. You never know what to expect. But that being said, let's move on to some news that dropped. We did talk about the Rick Grimes movie that is coming out here. There was some more attention given to it, but I really want to hit on this Invincible story, this animated series that's coming to Amazon Prime through Skybound. It was incredible, the news that was dropped here, and how many of these these actors, incredible actors that are involved in this project. It follows a teenage Mark Grayson, who you see there, who, when the series begins, will have just discovered that he has superpowers and will promptly begin training to become a superhero as great as his father, voiced by J.K. Simmons, a member of the alien Viltrumite race and a superhero who possesses super strength, superhuman speed, the ability to fly, and invulnerability. There was no official release date given, but the 8-episode first season is expected to debut sometime this year. It's also been described as an adult animated series, and for those of you who've collected Invincible, you know how adult it can actually be. So if they go all the way into that, it's going to be an eye-opening series to have on Amazon Prime. They're comparing it to Harley Quinn in terms of taking the parameters off of that animated series. Here's the list of the cast, right? Stephen Yeun, as some of you may know from The Walking Dead, he plays Mark Grayson. J.K. Simmons, as I mentioned, playing his dad, Nolan Grayson. You have Sandra Oh from Killing Eve as his mom, I think Debbie Grayson. Mark Hamill in this thing as Art Rosebaum. Seth Rogen as Alan the Alien. Jillian Jacobs from Community as Samantha Eve. Andrew Reynolds. Zazie Beetz is in this thing. Walt Goggins is in this thing. Jason Mantzoukas, who some of you may know is a very funny guest star on The League and numerous other shows. Jason Mantzoukas. Let's see, Corey Payton, who is the voice of Cyborg in the Teen Titans. Zachary Quinto in this thing. Kevin Michael Richardson, who has been in a million voiceover jobs. Mae Whitman, fantastic. Greg Griffin, who's another great voiceover artist. So a lot of people involved in this thing, Alex. Does this excite you? Are you animated series typers with this? Would you give a shot to this one if it's an R-rated kind of adult approach to the superhero thing?
My dude, I've watched the Harley Quinn series all through 3 times.
Oh, wow. Okay.
3 times. 3 times. Yeah, I went there.
Yeah.
Okay, so when I say I'm excited for this, I'm so flippin' excited.
Yeah.
I can't. Okay. Harley Quinn really kind of makes me excited for multiple reasons. Just not only the animation style, it's really cool. It's really, I love it. It's a feminist approach to the story and its relationships and everything. I love it. They address, her bisexuality, her leadership abilities, all that good stuff has been like expanded on in the comics, not really so much in TV, unfortunately, until then. But also, the voice cast is super inspired. So if they're going anywhere remotely close, I mean, man, Seth Rogen, Sandra Oh, my girl.
Yeah.
It's going to be amazing. I can't wait. Not to mention a lot of these people, I am slightly nervous about going into this. These are a lot of people, really amazing people that have very recognizable voices.
Yes.
That's something that I feel like it makes me a tad nervous, just because it almost takes me out of the show a little bit when I recognize the voices that extensively. Like watching Sausage Party, the entire time I'm thinking Seth Rogen, the entire time, Kristen Wiig, the entire time. I'm not thinking myself, oh, that's totally a talking wiener dog.
Yeah, right.
That's nothing that's that's something that really comes up. And so that's why going into this one and not really knowing the comics or anything all that much, I really would love to be transported very effectively. But, I was surprised by Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
And I might be surprised about this. Who knows? I'm excited either way.
Yeah, I am too. Mark, one of the gifts Mark Riley gave me one time was one of the hardcover versions of Invincible, which was a hell of a read, and really kind of opened my eyes to the possibility of what we can do with superhero characters as well on the page. Also, when you look at Amazon Prime, you remember The Boys, right? Their live action version of The Boys. Certainly the first season was fantastic. Second season looks like it's wrapping up to being even better. So certainly that more adult approach to superhero fare. So this looks like it's right in the vein. They're on the right channel for that. That channel knows how to support a more violent, honest, brutal approach to superhero stuff. So if they go that route, which it sounds like they will be, I think they're in the right place to showcase that, market that, and really give it a broad audience. But it's only 8 episodes, which is kind of a surprise to me. I thought we'd get longer with these animated, with an animated series. Usually get about 22, 24, sometimes 13, 15, something like that. But 8 is pretty surprising. I wonder if it's half an hour or an hour each episode. We shall see. But either way, pretty excited about that because I think Harley Quinn's longer than 8 series. I think 8 episodes rather, right? Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see about that. But exciting stuff overall for Skybound Entertainment announcing that stuff. Also, they went in a little bit about Walking Dead. Just I'm going to throw this in right in the end before we move on to our next topic here. Robert Kirkman, he offered an update on the hotly anticipated movies that are supposed to be happening here for The Walking Dead at the Skybound Expo event. He said, there's tons of stuff going on behind the scenes. I don't want anyone to think that we're kind of just waiting around for this pandemic to end. I would say that if anything, the pandemic is going to make a lot of movies better. I think the Rick Grimes movie, chief among them, just because we're getting a lot more time to cook this thing and make sure it's perfect. But when things do quiet down, you guys are going to hear a ton more about the movie. Remember that Rick, Andrew Lincoln's character, left in season 9. Leaving Michonne and Daryl to pick up the slack here. So we shall see what will happen with this movie. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited to see what they do with it. Maybe as a final goodbye from Andrew Lincoln to that character of Rick Grimes in The Walking Dead. And hey, The Walking Dead has picked up in terms of quality and storylines a lot over the last 2 seasons. I know there was a little bit of a dip, but the last 2 seasons have been great. So when I interviewed Greg Nicotero, he spoke about that on the Deep Cut. He spoke about how the reaction to his most recent seasons has been so positive. So it's something to think about and look forward to as well. And who knows, he might be right, Alex. I mean, sitting around, having time to go over a script over and over and over again, kind of weed out the fat and get to the point, get to the lean meat of the script, may be a positive overall for a lot of these movies, don't you think?
Yeah, I totally agree. It's almost like, as a manager and you as a competitor, suddenly in theory, you have a lot of this extra time to, study and really review a lot of stuff, give homework, and just start doing a lot of researching in general.
Wow. Okay.
So
I respect it.
So when it comes to this thing, it does make me more excited because, like you said, really having the time to sit down and review script at that point, you have literally no excuse.
Yeah.
Literally. So I do think it's pretty awesome that they're really moving forward the way they are. Not to mention, this is a show I haven't seen in a very long time. I was like hugely a devoted fan for like the first 3 seasons. And then it just kind of went in a weird direction to me. And it just got there's so much going on, at that point. And it kind of lost it for me. Thing is, the idea that they might be coming back and doing some things that I like, who knows, make me a fan again.
We shall see. We shall see. But all positive stuff coming out of that Skybound Entertainment Expo. I'm sure there'll be more to talk about. I'm hosting SEN Live today at 10 o'clock on the SN Network with the Monday crew, and I'm sure we'll have more to talk about there as well and their reactions to everything. Some Flirt and Flouse merchandise has been dropped, which looks fantastic, by the way. I might have to get one of those shirts. God help me.
Those masks with the beard.
I know what I'm saying. Those are pretty cool. We've got some Streamlab and a Super Chat that's rolled here. Remember, guys, send in your Streamlab, send in your Super Chat. Give the show some love. Give us some love here on this lovely Monday morning. This is from Ben Rayner. Says, hey, John and Alex, is J.K. Simmons in every big comic book universe? Wow. DCEU, MCU, the OG Sam Raimi Spider-Man, and now this animated show. Good for him. Hey, when you got that energy, and look, he's in Palm Springs as well, that show that's out, or the movie that's out on Hulu right now that everyone needs to watch. He's just one of these incredible character actors that has made a living for himself because he's got that interesting voice and that look. And so it works on both sides of the camera. It works on either in front of the camera or behind the mic. So you got to give him love on that. Right, Alex?
Absolutely. He's He's so good. He deserves every success. He found success as an actor later in his career, with Whiplash and being part of, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, like you said, Ben. So thank you so much for bringing that up.
Yeah.
And so J.K. Simmons is one of those actors that just makes me so excited for him, not only as an actor, but just as a human being, because he deserves all the success. Right. He's such an awesome guy. I also saw him in passing as he was like riding his bicycle in New York. He was exiting like a theater. Oh, wow. And he was like ripped. I was like, is that fucking J.K. Simmons? And he was like wearing like a muscle tee. He was putting on a helmet and he was like hopping on his bike. Anyway, it was actually coming back from a Schmodown event, actually.
Oh, yeah. The Brooklyn one. Nice.
Yeah, I was literally in the taxi driving to the airport when I saw him. But I was like, damn. Get it. Okay. Get it, Simmons.
Get it, Simmons. We got ourselves a Streamlab as well. Jay Scotty for real. Happy Monday morning. Do you think the major blockbuster releases that we're currently waiting on are still being tweaked? If so, to what degree? Black Widow trailers looked great, but I noticed one spotty CGI shot in particular. Hope they fine-tune it. That's a good question. I wonder, as we just spoke about, having a little more time to work on the scripts, how about the already finished movies? Are they somehow going back in there and going, okay, well, we've got some extra time. Let's focus on some shots that maybe we were kind of iffy about or questioned about or thought we could get away with. Let's take another look at these. So do you think that's happening, Alex?
I wouldn't be surprised. That definitely does make sense, especially if they're fine-tuning any CGI scenes or anything like that. Obviously, they're not going to be like, oh, let's rethink this whole entire scene right. or anything like that. Who knows? Well, you know what? I scratched that. Maybe editing might be involved. It's not like they're going to be doing any kind of testing from audience testing. Yeah. So they can only do it to a certain degree. I would be really excited either way if they like magically drop this today. Yeah. On not on Disney Plus. Drop this like for sale essentially. Oh yeah, VOD. Yeah. I would be more than happy to pay $40-$50. Yeah. Yeah, because it's this movie. I don't care about Tenet, but I will pay super stupid money for this movie. Yeah, I wonder. It's a great point. Maybe they are doing that, going in, kind of honing something and figuring it out. Especially because you don't need to bring in the actors for something like this. Of course, kind of get it right. But yeah, Alex makes a great point. We were talking about this. I think on Friday we were discussing this possibility. You could drop the movie for 24 hours for only $20. And that way it kind of motivates people to order it again for another $20. So the studios can make their money for people who want to watch this movie over and over and over again. They'll shell out the money to see it. It's amazing where people find money once they really want to support something or be a part of something. They'll figure it out. So that's kind of how it goes with that. So we'll see. There's a number of films, obviously, with Black Widow being one of those that that you were mentioning here. But there's Tenet, as you said. There's Mulan, as you said. There's as I said, there's other things coming down the pike that people want to spend money on and will possibly do so to be able to take a look at this thing. If we're stretched this out all the way to December, Alex, Eternal starts to become something that we start to have to consider as well, even though they pushed it. If you're going to drop Black Widow, do you drop that? Does Wonder Woman 84 get dropped? That's another one that people have been waiting on as well. So don't dare bring up Wonder Woman 84. Okay. I will wait 2 years. Wow. To see that in theater. Okay. All right. That's like a whole other stratosphere of the movie going. I will wait till we get a vaccine to see that movie. Right. You might be able to wait, but the studio might not be able to wait. They got to put things in motion. That's intensely fair. Yeah. But that movie deserves a theater. No, I don't. We don't deserve that movie. Okay, let's be honest. All right, calm it down. No, I think we deserve anything that's able to be made. I think we did not deserve Wonder Woman. We don't deserve Patty Jenkins. All right. Am I passionate? Maybe. Okay. Maybe. We'll see. But certainly exciting stuff happening here in the world. So thank you so much for the Streamlabs and the Super Chats. Let's move on to our next. Keep sending them in. Keep sending them in, people. We got to keep the lights on in this place. Let's move on to our next story. That's Constantine. Alex and I got a lot to say about this one. This is one of my quietly favorite superhero movies, as I'm a massive Hellblazer and John Constantine fan. And I know for those of you who are probably watching right now going, yeah, but isn't it a British accent?
I get it. But I think Keanu really captured the spirit of Hellblazer in this Constantine from 2005. It had a solid supporting cast, of course, with Rachel Weisz. You had young Shia LaBeouf, Jumon Hansu in this thing, Peter Stormare as the devil, and the beautifully talented Tilda Swinton as well as the Archangel. But this was directed by Francis Lawrence. It pulled in about $230.9 million off a $100 million budget, but there never was a sequel for this thing. But apparently Francis Lawrence, he was talking with Slash Film about this possibility and indicated that he spoke to Warner Brothers about Constantine and said, I think we all wanted to do it, a sequel. It was successful enough. We wanted to make a responsible, more R-rated movie. By responsible, I mean we make a movie that wouldn't cost quite as much as the original, which we thought was going to be PG-13. We worked on the sequel for a while. It was tricky to come up with where to take it. What I really liked about the first one was it really was a personal story. So I thought it'd be a mistake to get caught up in the supernatural gobbledygook. The idea of a personal story was really interesting, and that was the hard thing to come across. We've been talking about it. We've been talking about it recently. He goes on to say, it's always stuck with all of us because we all love the movie, and especially realizing there's a real cult following for this movie, it'd be fun to make. Keanu, Akiva Goldsman, and I have actually talked about it. Unfortunately, I don't even remember who has it, but with all these shared universes that exist now, with Constantine being a part of Vertigo, which is a part of DC, people have plans for these shared universes, possibly different Constantines and things like that. Right now, we don't have that character available to us for TV or movies, which is a bummer. We all investigated it, but I think it's kind of crazy when you have Keanu who would love to do another Constantine and us wanting to do another Constantine, and people are like, no, we got other plans. We'll see what happens. So you look at this is a very, very interesting stuff here, Alex, and I'm excited. I would love to see a sequel, especially because Keanu now has some age on him. So the even more hangdog approach that he had in the 2005 version would be accentuated even more so in 2022. Let's say if they were able to release a sequel to this. But we've got this stuff going on with Justice League Dark over there at DC and Warner Brothers. So is this just a pipe dream in the air, or do you think this could really have a chance of happening?
What my heart says and what my head says are two very different things. The thing is, the reason why I introduced this story to begin with, because we were talking about what are stories that we are uber excited about and everything. And this one is personally one that I'm super excited about. Not only because, I love the movie. I've seen this movie maybe 20 times. It's fantastic. It's actually my favorite DC movie. Yeah. So, that's not really, a fight me situation, but, it's fantastic. The thing is, this is rumors of talking about a sequel for this movie has been happening for years on and off. The thing is, at the Comic-Con panel, they're talking about it. They're doing a panel on this movie in particular with the director, with Keanu Reeves, with the writer and everything as well. And they've been vocal about in the past how they want to make a sequel. And apparently that's going to be a huge aspect of what they're going to be talking about for the panel this time around. Yeah, the Comic-Con at Home panel. Yeah. Exactly. So I wouldn't be surprised if the demand was high enough and people's reaction surrounding that panel was that strong. If they would be like, you know what, maybe not $100 million budget, but maybe let's give it a cool 65. Let's pull a Joker on this situation. And, let's see what happens. I would love it. I personally would invest money to see it happen. But let us dream, my dude. Yeah, I agree with you. And I think what Francis Lawrence touches on, this idea of who owns the rights, who's got the rights, it's all a myriad of things, because you could have one version of Constantine, but somebody could have Hellblazer, right? Like you can show the X-Men, you just can't say mutants. So there's all these kinds of things that can go around here when people have rights to certain things or studios have rights to certain things. I would love to see this one, because Constantine is not Batman. Like it's not this huge entity that only one person can play at a time. But even that, we're kind of getting a little bit of allowance for or lenience on here, because we're going to have Ben Affleck
maybe coming back, but certainly a new footage of him in the Justice League, Zack Snyder Justice League thing coming to HBO Max, along with the Robert Pattinson Batman being filmed and maybe trailers being released around the same time. Eventually, you got this idea of the Joker that just happened, right? We've had a Jared Leto Joker, a Jack Nicholson, a Heath Ledger Joker.
Yeah.
We've had so many Jokers, a Mark Hamill Joker, but here's Heath Ledger. Here's Joaquin Phoenix doing a completely different Joker. So why couldn't we have a Constantine Hellblazer that is completely different than the Justice League Dark Hellblazer that you're going to do? You could actually do a sequel, have Keanu do his thing, and it would come out and people would go see it in larger numbers. How big has this groundswell for this version of Constantine grown over the years? So much so that they're having a panel for it, Alex, at Comic-Con at home. That tells you there's enough of a public interest for them and for Keanu to show up for it. There's enough of a public interest to want to see a sequel to this.
Now, something I do want to clarify as well is that Keanu Reeves, obviously, he could just like walk into, well, obviously not now, but he could just be like the day of, he'd be like, hey, I'm Keanu. Can I have a panel? And they would be like, yes, everything.
Of course. It's
everything. Whatever project you want to highlight, go for it. And so he's like one of those actors that he's so beloved, and he's been involved with so many iconic projects, from John Wick to, the Bill and Ted.
Yeah.
I was going to say the timey-wimey one. That one.
Those screwdrivers in that one, but yeah.
I haven't seen it. I don't know.
All right.
But anyway, regardless, he definitely has his pick. And so him being like, I want to talk about this movie in particular, really just makes my heart swell.
Yeah.
So, hopefully one day we'll get something, not to mention the director, Francis Lawrence.
Yeah.
He's also been talking about it for a while. He actually made this movie, Constantine, I believe in like 2007, 2008, I want to say.
2005. Yeah.
Oh, way off, but okay.
Yeah. That's all right. It's a it's a while ago for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So essentially, he was like not as a well-established. Well, he was. But he wasn't as well-known a director at the time. And now he's directed. Very famously so. He's directed several of the Hunger Games movies. He directed I Am Legend, and so he's a very in-demand director right now. And if he says he wants it, he might get it.
Yeah. I don't disagree. And that's one of the things. If enough of impetus is there, people find a way to happen. I mean, who saw the Zack Snyder's Justice League coming? I mean, please, I don't care what anybody says. There's no way that was happening if there wasn't a number of events coming together. The coronavirus situation, the launch of HBO Max as a streaming service, and the fans clamoring for it. So all of those things had to come together. So what would be the point? What would be the possibility of the fans kind of pushing WB to consider the possibility of a sequel to Constantine? I think this panel with them will go a long way. If it gets carried and there's big news and there's a lot of attention and big clicks on it, then I think you've got a little bit of impetus or leverage to kind of go back to the studio and be like, hey, people do have an interest in seeing Keanu come back and play this character. And I like what Francis said about a more personal story. I don't like that he said gobbledygook, because that kind of stuff is really essential to the Hellblazers stuff, which is the hell and heaven, demons and angels and all of that involved. It's really important. So to me, I don't like when someone says something like that, because that's an essential part of Hellblazer, but making it a more personal story makes sense. And hey, it was kind of a personal story through Rachel Weisz's eyes in the 2005 Constantine as well. So there is a way to make that thing work. I just don't know if it'll eventually happen. Audible started releasing The Sandman as well, and that is kind of the vibe of Constantine. That's there with actor Taron Egerton playing John Constantine in that as well, Neil Gaiman's Sandman. So there are many different versions of Constantine that are out there, and if Justice League Dark comes out, those all exist kind of in the same universe. So why wouldn't Keanu's be allowed to be a part of it? I'd be down to see it. I bet Tilda would be happy to come back, the continuation of that. We still have Dr. Midnight with Jamin Hansu, and there's so many more rich characters to explore from the Hellblazer mythology, in my opinion.
This movie in particular, like you said, there's so many awesome people like Rachel Weisz, Tilda Swinton, everything. And Tilda Swinton wasn't someone that was like super well known at the time. She is now, but at the time she was known, but she wasn't like Tilda Swinton.
Yeah, right. She was more of an independent film actress. So those people who were into it knew her at that time. Yeah.
Exactly. Now she's literally been almost a MCU villain. So So it's definitely one of those things that I would love to see it happen. I know realistically, bringing all these amazing actors as big as they have become in the past, 10 years, I wouldn't be surprised to be like, I'm bigger than this small role.
Maybe.
I wouldn't be surprised. But for someone like Gavin Rosdale.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if Gavin could come back.
I know. Or, who knows? Shia LaBeouf. What's up, my dude? He apparently had a really great time doing this movie. Yeah. I would be super excited for Peter. I can't pronounce. Is it Peter Stormare?
Yeah, Stormare. Yeah, Peter Stormare.
Stormare.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I love him in every single thing. He him in American Gods.
Right.
It's everything. I love that show.
Him in Armageddon is everything. Please.
Oh.
I
want this work.
I want to go home. Yeah, I always have Constantine roaming around, some version of Constantine, always right on the edge of my shelves here because I love it so much. I love exploring the heaven and hell stuff aspect of it. Yeah, the art is incredible as well. Very well said, Alex. All right. So that's something that we'll see what happens as this Comic-Con at home thing kicks off. And yes, I will have some coverage of it on the channel, depending on what panels I can watch and not watch. And remember, I'm training for Ethan, so I don't have a lot of time to spend covering this stuff. But what I can cover, I will cover this weekend, as the match is coming up here on July 31st. We shall see. But let's move on to our next thing, Alex, and that is a romantic comedy. Do you want to present this one from Alison, Brie, and Dave Franco?
Oh my gosh, romantic comedies. Okay. Romantic comedies is a genre that's not talked about enough. It's not taken seriously all that much, to be honest, which really makes me sad because it is a huge money-making, genre, especially for films. Okay, when it comes blockbuster wise. Okay, so everyone's talking about, like we were saying earlier, in quarantine, that some creatives they're not allowed to do their thing. Obviously, if you're a cameraman, you're probably not, you're a cinematographer, you might not be able to do your thing, working on movies. However, what you can do, a lot of people behind the scenes where they've been doing some writing, like you said, editing, and Dave Franco and Alison Brie. That's a very different person. Husband and wife, actor duo. They actually penned a new script that's highly inspired by When Harry Met Sally. Now, When Harry Met Sally, obviously one of the most iconic rom-coms of all time. It's fantastic. Between Meg Ryan, Billy Crystal, fabulous, great. Now, so that being said, they've talked about how when they wrote this script together, it's something they actively worked on together during this quarantine, but also they're elevating it. It's not meant to be something, lighthearted and bright and shiny and stupid or anything. They kind of mention, like a lot of rom-coms today are. If anything, it's smart. It's the characters are really cool. They're interesting, and their reactions are legit. There's so many rom-coms where it's just like, why the fuck are you doing that? Like obviously you would no actual human in a relationship would ever do this stuff like that. Where you're yelling at the screen. Being like, you idiot. Like, that's not going to be a situation that they're talking about. So I'm really excited about this idea. Not to mention, I love it when couples in Hollywood, they collaborate on projects like this together.
Yeah, I agree. Franco said this about it. He was discussing film. He said, we want to approach the film in a similar way that we did in this film, in the sense that we want to make it smarter, more elevated version of a romantic comedy. As you said, inspired by When Harry Met Sally, also Sleepless in Seattle, and Pretty Woman. All films are grounded, where acting is really strong, and they're shot like drama, so they look good. We were just wondering why people don't really approach the genre from that smarter point of view these days, and that's what we tried to accomplish with the script. And also to Variety, he said, when we looked at the landscape of rom-coms over the past decade, it feels like this bar is set really low. There's a trend where rom-coms have an overly bright aesthetic and the concepts are really silly and the acting isn't grounded. So, I mean, honestly, this is a little bit of a veiled shot at, like, I Feel Pretty and the Rebel Wilson one and maybe a couple other ones that I thought are really good. I mean, Bridesmaid is a damn good romantic comedy. It's not just a comedy. It is a romantic comedy as well. So, I mean, I think there's a little bit of a shot here that maybe Dave should have done maybe a little bit more research. But I also think, Alex, the reason that's happened is because people kind of walked away from the genre of romantic comedy. And
Why is that?
I think because people looked at romantic comedies from the past and were exactly like you said. the idea that, oh, these are not real. This is not how people actually act. This is not what people have. This is not how romance actually works. People do fight in relationships. People do have troubles in relationships, and they find a way out. They endure. The good ones that are supposed to last, they do. And so that kind of stuff isn't covered. It was a fantasy world romantic comedy. So romantic comedies got a little bit of a bad name. So this new approach does excite me, because I think there is a way to tell a romantic comedy that's funny and interesting and doesn't necessarily adhere to the popping heart bubbles all over the place type approach to romantic comedy, something a little more grounded and realistic. So, but I mean, they are a guilty pleasure from a lot of people. They're a slice on the schmodown wheel, certainly. And so I'm sure there's a number of them that you would normally wouldn't like, but for whatever reason, you got a guilty pleasure feeling about them. Don't you think?
I do have a bone to pick with you for
Sure.
saying I Feel Pretty and Isn't It Romantic? Sure, Isn't It Romantic is a trash movie, whatever. But they're satires. They're supposed to be. They're making fun of that idea. They're making fun of this whole fantasy element world. And same for I Feel Pretty. It's it's making fun of the same process. So they're satires on the genre. So So with that being said, I do think that those can't really be put in the same conversation as movies like, say,
You tell me which ones he was referencing, do you think?
Well, when it comes to that, when I think of like really bad rom-coms, I think of Mr. Ray. I think of What's Your Number. I think of
What's Your Number is bad. Yeah, What's Your Number is bad. Yeah.
It's not good. Where they're like, and having a formula in movies, every genre has formulas,
Yes.
I think rom-coms are the worst of them, are arguably the worst, them and like a lot of action adventures where you can predict the ending, who the guy is, in the first 5 minutes usually. So I do think the idea of creating especially a rom-com story that doesn't follow that same formula in the same way would really, really be nice. Just definitely make it more interesting. Not to mention, making a rom-com in that dramatic tone would definitely. It's kind of funny. It would more like maybe like a rom-dramedy.
Yeah.
Or
a romedy is what you're saying. A romedy.
A romedy. Yeah. Let's. For sure. Let's go with that. I would be really, really excited. Absolutely. It doesn't get just talked about enough. And Crazy Rich Asians, it's wonderful, but it's, and I think it's really great, but at the same time, did it make a whole bunch of money? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Did it, it wasn't.
I don't disagree with you. I'll step out and say that too. Yeah. I didn't think it was that good of a movie. I thought it was a fine movie, but I didn't think it was that good of a movie. But it was more about the novelty of having, this incredibly big Asian cast. I think The Farewell, if you're going to go with an Asian cast, should have made way more money than Crazy Rich Asians did as an approach to an all Asian film that is here on the shores of America. So, but I agree with you. But you look at these let's look at Her. Would you consider Her a romantic comedy?
A dramedy. I consider it a dramedy.
Right.
That with a heavy romance. Thing is, the romance I don't think with Her is so much the focus.
Right.
Personally, so I don't really put in the same lines as a rom-com or romance. Just because in order to be put in that category of the romance, it does need to be like the central theme of the movie. So
Knocked Up?
I consider it maybe like a subcategory, maybe.
Okay. What about Knocked Up? Yes or no?
Knocked Up, I say yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's 500 Days of Summer?
I will fight everyone. It is not a rom-com.
Okay.
Everyone. That is a dramedy. It's also a coming-of-age movie about an asshole.
Who's the asshole? Wait, who's the asshole?
All right, no, what? Okay, no.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Oh my gosh, are we going to go down this route?
Well, if you're saying Zooey Deschanel's the asshole, I agree with you. But if you're saying Joseph Gordon-Levitt's the asshole,
he is 100% the asshole. Let me tell you why. 100%. She mentions throughout the entire movie, from the moment he meets her, like he's creeping up, and he's like, you know what, man, he's already creating fantasies in his head from the moment about who she is. He doesn't even really acknowledge her. She doesn't have a life outside of him, and he's like, oh, we are in a relationship, damn it, because I say so. I'm sorry, what? from the moment I met you, I was like, no, I don't want a relationship. I want something casual. And he's like, no, too bad. I've created this fantasy. Oh no.
Okay.
And also that's his mindset. Not only he doesn't really care about her feelings and his idea in his mind, she is a pretty much manic pixie dream girl, even though she's not. She has her own feelings. She has her own ideas in her own life outside of him. And therefore she brings that idea.
Okay.
But he doesn't acknowledge it. He doesn't accept it. And that's what makes him an asshole.
Okay. By the same token, she gets all the benefits of having the relationship and gets to escape by saying, but I don't really want one.
She
but I
told
want
him
you,
from the
I want you
very
around.
beginning.
Look, I didn't interrupt you. So I want Schmo Bates. I get my 1 minute. No, listen, she gets away with getting all the perks of a relationship, but keeps saying, I don't want one. I don't want one. So what? Does she not have to take any responsibility for her actions where she kind of like, she knows he wants a relationship. She can, as a woman, you always sense when a guy wants more than what they actually are saying they want. No. So for her to keep doing these things, thinking that somehow he's not going to create these illusions, not going to create these fantasies, her opening the door, letting him when he shows up late at night in the rain, blah, blah, blah. Those are all signs that he thinks she's opening the door to having. So for her to all of a sudden cop out, and then for her to ask him to come be her date for that wedding because she doesn't want to be alone. That's irresponsible, emotional behavior. So I say they both made mistakes throughout this whole thing. And why is she waiting at that bench where she knows he goes all the time? Why is she waiting at that bench for near the end of the movie?
Because she needs to talk to him and help him close this window situation.
Yeah. See, she should have broke it off way sooner. Agreed.
No,
agreed.
Thing is, she told him from the get-go, this is not what she was looking for. Sure,
but that doesn't mean you get to act however you want just because you said I don't want that.
That's fair. Absolutely. He also created this idea. We don't even know what's real and what isn't because everything is in his head. He doesn't even really talk about what she wants, what she feels. If she's an asshole, sure, she's made some like.
I was just joking around about it. I don't think they're just a bad match. I think they're just a bad match.
Absolutely. Yeah. But she is totally in the right for everything she's doing. It does. Okay, personally, I have taken guys to weddings. Like way back in the day. Outside, obviously before I got married to my husband. And, that's totally fine. And we have gone as friends. Mm-hmm. So it's totally okay. It's totally normal, so it's not a big deal. So, not only that, are you saying before you got together with your partner,
my lady,
it's like, having those late night texts to, hey girl, those don't happen. Okay.
Oh no, they do. But you have a responsibility. You have a responsibility to should I say if I let this person over and I know they want more than what I can give them, I need to be responsible and turn down my own selfish sexual desires or the need to be held or the need to because I could damage that person down the road.
But
that's
my
point.
He knew beforehand, but he chose to ignore it.
Listen, he's not without fault. No, I totally agree with you. He is not without fault. He's an idiot she makes it very, very clear. This is what I want. I don't want more than that. But he pushes and she lets him push. That's the thing. So I think there's fault on both sides. Absolutely. I don't think he's he's faultless in any way, shape, or form. He put himself in this position to have his heart broken by her, and Chloe Grace Moretz's character, his sister, tells him throughout the whole movie, "You're being an idiot. She does not want this from you. What's wrong with you?" So
Well, it's okay for a man and a woman to be friends and not have a sexual relationship. I know, and not have a sexual relationship.
No. We're just having a discussion level too.
It's okay for that to happen. It's okay to take friends, to weddings, and it's okay to, and it is arguable.
Of course it is.
Things like that. That is very possible.
Right.
I know that's been a heated discussion.
But an ex-boyfriend who had a really hard time after you broke up with him, to bring that person because you don't want to be alone is a bit emotionally abusive, in my opinion.
He could have said no.
Yes, he could. Yes, so, you're right. He could have said no. Absolutely.
Absolutely. But also,
she could have also not asked him.
She's okay. She asked him to the wedding.
Yeah.
But she didn't actually hang out at the wedding. When she asked him to the wedding, she didn't ask him to go with her. She was like, "Hey, you're an ex, you're a friend, come hang out." She wasn't like hanging out with him the entire time at the wedding. She wasn't holding hands with him at the wedding. They had a little conversation. Calm down.
They danced at the wedding. Slow dance at the wedding, Alex.
Oh no. What a flippin' travesty. Therefore, she's definitely the most manipulative person on the earth because she slow danced.
No one's saying manipulative. No one's saying manipulative. I'm not saying that. People
are saying she's manipulative.
I know. Well, I think people are on both sides. I love the chat is like blowing up. I wish you guys were sending Streamlabs and Super Chats with these chats and these arguments. A lot of people are on both sides of this, which I think is a really cool thing. Someone was saying, please let Alex talk. How am I not letting Alex talk with the female perspective?
That's true. No, he's absolutely letting me talk.
Yeah, of course. Alex, I appreciate Alex's point of view on these things. Yeah.
It's, but also I do understand your perspective. Obviously I'm not a guy. I am naturally going to empathize with her so much more.
Of course. Sure.
Obviously. I also just recognize from the get-go, I recognize men in this situation. I know men personally that have done this to women. Right. and been in a situation where they have this idea of
they create a fantasy
and it's totally not healthy, obviously.
Agreed.
But also even Joseph Gordon-Levitt, even the director, they say this movie's not a rom-com. They say he's an asshole, so don't get me wrong, she's not entirely faultless, but at the same time he's the worst one, and even the director, he says he calls it a dramedy. He doesn't call it a rom-com. Right. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he said, if you actually take the scenes, they're purposely put out of order. If you put them in order, you'll see from the get-go, he is an asshole from the very moment.
Why do you say he's an asshole though? Like, that's the thing. He's not mean to her. He doesn't beat her. He doesn't cheat on her. He doesn't talk down to her. He just creates a fantasy of what's happening here. And when the fantasy is broken, then he has to. But the film redeems him, so he can't be that much of it.
No, if anything, the film doesn't redeem him. He starts back over doing the same thing again to August or whatever, fall or autumn or whatever.
Autumn.
Autumn. There's that look at the end where it's kind of ominous, and the director said it's up to you to decide as an audience to decide whether or not he is going to learn from that experience with Summer, or if he's going to repeat those mistakes. And the director has said that it's up to you to decide as the audience member. Ooh.
I don't see him as I don't see him at the end as gonna repeat the same mistakes at all. I think at the end he's learned.
As someone that was, because he was like,
he was just happy again because he went through that. They had because it was right on the heels of the closure conversation at the end of the movie, and he goes to that interview, and the voiceover pretty much lays it down that this is the better situation. And look, as someone who came out of a pretty terrible situation with a person who was not the right person for me, and we both tore each other to pieces for 5 years, finding the right person, sometimes you have to go through hell, like a Shawshank Redemption. You got to crawl through 500 yards of the worst foul-smelling shit just to come out clean on the other side, and you learn your lessons. So I like to think at the end, he's learned his lessons, and he's going to apply those with Autumn and be more of an open partner, hear her points of view. What does she want to do? Where does she want to go? How she wants to take the relationship and adjust to that. I hope. But, you're from your point of view, when you see it, it's more of an ominous point of view. So that's interesting. I've never thought of it that way. And maybe when I watch it again, I will look at it that way. Yeah.
It's the director's point of view. It's the actor's point of view.
True.
So I do want to clarify technically by that, Sam.
Yeah, the film is totally through his point of view. You're right.
Yes, very purposely point of view. The director said that he was like he actually they did initially shoot some scenes from her point of view, but they were like, no, not based on like the crazy, not based on the things that they're trying to predict. But also, let's be honest, he's a young man, and sometimes it's several mistakes, several big mistakes to learn your lesson. It doesn't take that bad relationship. It takes several bad relationships, unfortunately.
Sure.
And but he's a young man, and so who knows? Maybe he does learn his lesson. I would be super excited about that. I would love it if every person were to learn their lesson right away after making a mistake. I would love it. I wish I did, but realistically.
No, you're right. You got to take some time, do some self-analysis, do some therapy, figure out why it is you keep making the same mistakes in relationships or picking the same kind of partners who you have the same arguments with every single time in different relationships. That's the thing that you have to take a look at for sure. I agree. Maybe that's the Alison, Brie, Dave Franco rom-com that's coming. More of that. So, but you know what? Now I kind of want to do a watch along with Alex Shashek on this film. I think that would be a lot of fun. So
we'll do it on your Twitch. We'll make it happen. Yeah. And then we can watch the interviews with the director and the actors being like, yeah, fuck this guy. Summer is the hero. This guy's the worst.
All right.
I'm just saying.
I respect that. Someone said the Shawshank Redemption. I like that. The Shawshank Redemption.
That's not how it's spelled, but I appreciate what you're going for. I really do. I love this though.
This is good. Yeah. Infinity Buzz says again, Summer should not have let it last 500 days. But PC is totally in your camp. Or Ambling Soul, rather. Ambling Soul says he never cares about anything that she would want to do. It's all about him. And then she says the film, or whoever this person is, the film does not redeem him at all. So very interesting thing. Well, I don't think he is not a hopeless romantic. What he is he's a romantic.
He's a straight up villain. He is the Ted. He is the villainous Ted from How I Met Your Mother. Oh, super duper villain. Oh my gosh.
He's not Ted. I would say
no. Ted is like.
Ted would never dance to a Hall & Oates song. Let me just put that out there. I don't think Ted would.
He did dance on numerous dates to her, and hoping to impress his future girlfriends and Robin and all that good stuff. But that's a whole other situation. We can talk about it next time. But
this is fun, though. I like this.
Okay, so let me use a word. Maybe he's not a villain. He is a young man that really needs to sit down, be single for a while, and figure stuff out. Yeah. Because obviously he is a hopeless romantic, and I don't get me wrong. Hopeless romantics are great. It's totally fine, but you don't need to idealize your partner, and you don't need to idealize the idea of romance because if anything, that will block your relationships because you're keep on comparing them of what it should be or whatever it may be, where you just really just need to just chill.
Well, and I guess this is my point, Alex. I feel like what Franco is saying hasn't bared out because there have been a number of rom-coms that have come in and have been intelligent and have kind of broken.
Few, though.
Right, true. But broken the stereotype of the classic rom-com thing. I feel Pretty is certainly one of them. Isn't It Romantic, as we mentioned earlier, was one of them. As you mentioned earlier, is one of them. I think 500 Days of Summer is another one. I think Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is another one that breaks that. Punch Drunk Love breaks that convention as well. So I think there's a number of them. So I think Dave Franco has a higher bar to leap over than he actually thinks he does with this approach to it. So, but I look forward to it because The Rental is getting good reviews overall, and people are enjoying his new film that released here with Alison, Brie in it as well. So I'm excited. Yeah,
John, I had to ask: Do you have any friends or relationships that you have exclusively because of the benefits they might give to you?
No, I don't believe.
No, sorry. Oh no, I mean like. What do
you mean? Can you be specific?
Yeah. So I mean, like, let's say you become friends with a bartender at your favorite bar.
Okay.
Okay. So and therefore, every once in a while, he slips you an extra drink, that kind of thing.
Sure.
So, and so as a result, sometimes you'll like talk to, in your case, maybe you have people at like studios or something like that give you little tips or things like that, and so you might end up becoming friends with them because of the connections they might have.
Yeah, I'm not built like that. It's kind of why my career maybe isn't as strong as other people's. I do foster relationships. That's the difference, right? I don't necessarily foster friendships because of what they can give me. That's not true. I have professional relationships because of what they can give me, but I don't, because I in turn cover their stuff for my channel or for my social media. Yeah. But I don't have relationships with friends. I'm not friends with anybody just because they can get me something or they can connect me to something. I have to authentically like you. I have to authentically want. There's enough people out here in this business who do that kind of crap. I'm more about like, do I actually like you? Then I let you in, because I'm this may shock a few people because I know I'm on a million shows, but I'm actually very guarded about letting people come close to me, because once I care about somebody, I'm all in as a friend or as a partner. And so I live in, like, I kind of go up and down with what's happening. So I have to be careful. And so for me, that's the way I approach. So that's why I don't have friendships that are based on benefits. You know what I'm saying? So when I was younger, though, of course, younger, you're like all over the place. And exactly.
His character is a very young man. So
yeah, he is. And I don't disagree with you. I just think there's fault on both sides. But maybe. And when we take a look at it together, if we do a watch along with it, I'll see where you're coming from on it. And I'm always open to that. I love that. Ben Renner says, my favorite rom-com is When Harry Met Sally. I'll have what she's having. Iconic scene. Love it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so good.
And that's Rob Reiner's mom doing that in that scene. So for those of you who don't know, let's see. We got 2 ones that coming through to Tushka Productions. He said, J.K. Simmons is in everything. What are some actors that have previously been in DC, Marvel, etc., that deserve to be in other universes? My pick is Willem Dafoe to be in the MCU. He would be great as a Skrull, in my opinion. Yeah, we saw Ben... oh, man, the studying. My mind is all nuts. Ben Mendelsohn. Ben Mendelsohn, he was a Skrull. So what would you want to see anyone else from the universe being another? Yeah.
I honestly, I can't think of many actors off the top of my head right now. Like once I start looking through IMDb and checking out movies and stuff, that'd be a very different situation. I can come up with 10 names, but I can't think of movies right now. Honestly, there's a lot of DC movies I have not seen, to be honest. I haven't seen any of the Superman movies. The only Superman movie I've seen is Man of Steel.
Okay.
And I feel really bad about that.
Well, speaking of Man of Steel, I'd love to see Henry Cavill be Captain Britain in the Marvel universe. That would be awesome. It'd be great to see him be a part of that. I'd be down to see that. On the other side, Robert Downey Jr., does he have to stay in Marvel now? Can he jump over to DC and play something? I don't know.
Well, could be technically,
Oh, I like this. Aubrey Plaza as a Batman villain. I could see that.
Thunder God Hero 770. Yes. Give her everything. She was in that. What was the name of the show where she with Xavier's kid?
Which one? Parks and Rec?
No, she was in this TV show where she played. Oh my gosh, it was on FX with mutants and Dan Stevens.
Oh yeah, Legion.
Legion, yes, thank you. Oh,
she was great.
She is fantastic in it. Yeah. Please, yes.
Yeah, that's a great one. I like
you. That. I appreciate that, Thunder God.
I don't disagree. That's a great choice, actually. She could be. She could be anybody, really. She could be Poison Ivy. She could be Huntress. She could be any number of. She could be Catwoman. She'd be a great Catwoman as well, I think. Wiley Todd said in the stream. Now, thank you, Wiley. He said, "When Harry Met Sally is top 10 all-time movies for me, but I will say when I'm down, I love watching dumb rom-coms like Definitely Maybe or Summer Catch. They are just good watches. But yes, I want more smart romantic comedies. Yeah, those are good. Those are good ones.
Just like any really great movie. Any great movie is a fusion of different genres. So it's whether it be a drama and a comedy, or if it's or if it's a thriller romance or whatever it may be. It's always a combination of different genres. Those are usually the best ones. So
Alex, we have 10 minutes left in the show. I don't know how we got way off track.
I just kind of blacked out.
But that was a good discussion. I'm a massive fan of it. I don't think we might not be able to get to everything, but let's plug some stuff now. Or you know what? Let's plug at the end since we've got 10 minutes. Let's jump in. Okay, so real quick, No Time to Die looks like it's going to be pushed to 2021. That's the thing that's being issued now. So, ladies and gentlemen, be prepared. I don't think theaters are coming back until next year. And some people had said that already, and we're seeing it now. We're seeing that coming, which is a shame overall. And now there's another thing happening here, and that's with Tenet. Tenet apparently in China is apparently too long because they have a 2-hour time limit on their movie. So there's rumors that now it won't even get released in China, even if China opens up their theaters, which is the rumor now. They're going to start opening up their theaters again. Remember, they opened it the first time, then shut it back down again after another wave of coronavirus happened. So they might open their theaters again before the end of the year. But Tenet might not even open there. Alex, is this the most hard done movie ever to come out? Because, I mean, between this and New Mutants, I don't know which one is the more delayed movie. It's kind of cracking me up a little bit for Christopher Nolan.
Just released on Amazon.
He would go insane. He would set the world on fire if they released it on Amazon.
This movie is just, it's really, it's almost, I don't want to say it's as bad as New Mutants.
No, of course not, because it's still in the same year, right?
Yeah, obviously. It's a totally different conversation. But just because the only reason this Tenet is talked about being released when it has been is because Christopher Nolan's like, no, I want it. Release it like now. I want to be the first one. No. Like,
he does.
Nolan, I love and respect you, but no, this is not a priority right now. People are dying.
Yeah.
So put in perspective a little bit. So
so this just broke here in Haskell. Christopher Nolan's Tenet will no longer release August 12th and has been delayed indefinitely. Wow. So there you go. Right as we're talking about it, Rotten Tomatoes breaks that on there. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that as well. We did have some Streamlabs that have come through here, Alex, real quick. Michael Nip said he donated. He said Amy Adams would be fantastic in the MCU. Sue Storm, a.k.a. Invisible Woman. Anybody? It's not a bad suggestion. I like that suggestion, actually.
I think you mispronounced Emily Blunt as Sue Storm. So.
If they redo Iron Man, which is a very big possibility down the road, she could be a great Pepper Potts. Wouldn't she be a great Pepper Potts? Amy Adams would be as well, with the suit as rescue and everything. I think that would be fascinating to see Amy take that on.
Not to mention, I just really love to see more women in like actively like action adventure physical roles. Sure. Just saying.
Oh yeah, well, rescue. It's a version of that in Iron Man, but yeah, I could see it. Yeah, sure. I'm always down for that.
I just really want to put myself in situations and do this to bad guys.
You want to do that to Joseph Gordon-Levitt? I know, I respect.
Bam. Slap.
Leave her alone. All right, John donated. He said,
bad behavior, toxic masculinity. Get back.
It's not all about you.
Stop fantasizing. Girl. No, stop it. No.
Actually, listen to what she's saying. John donated. He said, John versus Alex fight. Alex comes out swinging, pushing John back. Alex goes high. John ducks and counters. John not going on the attack, but Alex not giving up, standing her ground. John looking for an opening and an uppercut. Down goes John. Great talk, guys. Yeah, it was a fun talk. Absolutely.
I love that. Thank you. I'm right, my day.
That was great. Look, we got over 230 y'all watching us right now live. Please give us some likes. Over only 120 likes. Swing that cursor over, but swing that mouse button over. Hit that thumbs up button. Give us some likes here. Get us to 150 at least before we wrap up the show in the next 6 minutes. That would be really nice. Listen, we were going to talk about the Netflix situation and these movies that have come out on Netflix and the numbers. Let me see if I've got the numbers in front of me here real quick, and then we'll wrap up the show as we talk about this. Let's see. Here we go. The top 10 movies that they released. Top 10 here. Extraction is number one at 99 million views. That's incredible. And this is all their original programming, by the way. Bird Box is right behind that with 89 million views. Spencer Confidential, I can't believe this. The Mark Wahlberg film, third place with 85 million views. Six Underground at 83 million views. Murder Mystery at 73 million views, which is the Adam Sandler one with Jennifer Aniston, I think. The Irishman at 64 million. Triple Frontier at 63 million. The Wrong Missy at 59 million. That's the one with David Spade. The Platform, which is this great Spanish horror film that everyone needs to watch. It's in Spanish, but it's incredible. $56 million, and The Perfect Date at 48 million of views. Sorry, views. These are all views. So, Extraction jumping up to 99 million views is pretty incredible, and maybe makes you think that they should have released that in the theater to see that kind of love for Chris Hemsworth. But also, you have to factor in, Alex, as well, we're all home for the pandemic. So these numbers are going to be higher for the more recent released films than maybe the films that were released a year or two ago.
Absolutely. It's I'm not gonna lie though, I have probably seen 2 of these movies. So I was like, when I hear this and I'm like, wow, that's so awesome. I haven't seen any movies. So I was like, oh. But it's crazy to me, it's crazy to me like this idea that it's like these movies, they're like 85 million views and stuff. I'm like, but something that was really interesting to me, as I mentioned in the articles, is that Netflix counts a person making a view is that if they watch 2 minutes of the movie. It's not talking about the whole thing, like other movies or anything. Yeah. So I don't know if we can really talk about this in the same conversation as if it were translated to being released in theaters or how much it would hypothetically make. Just because, who else? I mean, a lot of people do that. I mean, like, let's check it out. Watch the first few minutes. If I don't like it, switch. That happens all the time. Right. So it is kind of, these numbers are really, really, really interesting to me. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I'm just like,
Okay. Do you like the idea that it's how can I say this? Do you like the idea that they're releasing these numbers at least? Like we're getting closer to that situation where you start to see more of these numbers coming out?
Yeah, I really do. It's something that really excites me. It's just with Netflix, I'm still just not I don't know how Marty Scorsese was like, $200 million or 150 or whatever. Irishman, let's do it. I don't understand how that translates into that much money as an investment. Sure, Oscars, you can talk about that and all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, I just don't understand personally. I haven't been explained to how they make that kind of money from it. Yeah. They try to have a new big movie every 2 weeks just to keep people talking about Netflix so they can make sure that they don't get many cancellations. And so they kind of invest on that aspect. But they're not going to, if they're investing $150 million in a movie, it's not like they're not going to guaranteed, with a campaign and ever suddenly make a profit of $750 million. Like that's not a conversation that they can have.
Yeah, true. That's a fair point. Yep. I mean, the idea of being able to watch a certain amount, how's that going to translate all of it to explore all of that would be interesting. But this is the numbers this is the stuff they live and die on is these numbers. So you got to kind of, this is all you have to go on to decide what's doing well. But, and of course, factoring in the fact that we're here for a pandemic. But that being said, Sandra Bullock, 89 million views for a film that came out 2 years ago, still in second place. Pretty incredible. So it wasn't, that obviously didn't have anything to do with the pandemic. That was just something that came out and people want to see Sandy in a lot of things. People love Sandy Bullock. So much love to her.
Literally made a meme. She was made into a meme, guys.
Yeah, she was.
That is something I strive for every day. I want to be memeable. Can you guys make me a meme? That'd be dope. Yeah.
There's Brittany Parker. I'm obsessed with the platform. Thanks to Riley for hyping it up for me months ago. Yeah, absolutely. It's so good. Riley said it was his best film of the year. So he absolutely loved it.
That's the one where the thing gets lowered.
Yeah. Okay.
Right movie.
It's a horror film. It's all in Spanish. It's from Spain. It's fantastic. You all need to watch that film for sure. All right. No more Streamlabs, no more Super Chats. So we got to roll up in this thing. It's 9:45 already. So we got to do a quick wrap up. Alex, what do you got? Promote away, young lady.
Tomorrow I am going to be diving into the movie Warrior from, I can't remember when it was released. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie. Directed by Gavin O'Connor, Tom Hardy, Joel Edgerton, it's fantastic. It's a great movie. Drew just saw for the first time the other day. So I'm excited to really dive into that movie with her. And, next week we're also going to watch Pee-wee's Big Adventure. So cool. Yay. Great. Well, no. We're also going to be watching Akira. So a lot of really great movies. Definitely check it out if you're not familiar with Cinema Bias. Just YouTube it. It's a real fun time where we dive into our personal biases. Mark, sorry, I just called him Mark. I don't know why. Rocha was on an episode with us and not too long ago. It was real fun. Also, this Wednesday, I'm going to be hosting a show called Schmo Bates on my channel. One of my channels for Call to Action podcast. So definitely come hang out. We're going to be doing a debate themed on the singles tournament.
Boom.
So it's been fun. All that a bag of chips.
Awesome stuff. So there you go. Follow all her stuff that she does there. Alex does a lot of building herself up there through all the shows that she's hosting and working on over there, and of course part of the Call to Action podcast as well. Here's the deal. Later on today, 2 p.m. live PT. That is game time. I got Jen Serger stopping by. Me and her and I and Winston. We're gonna have conversations about the bombshell of a Redskins report that dropped a few days ago. We're also gonna talk about the Toronto Blue Jays situation and get into more sports news as much as we can before the show is over. And I think we'll be bringing people live towards the tail end of the show, which we haven't done in quite some time, to ask their sports questions as well during the show. Also, big announcement. I can't wait to have this conversation. I've been trying for years to make it happen, our schedules and what have you, but it is happening. 3 p.m. PT live this Wednesday, 3 p.m. PT live. That man right there, Christian Harloff, he is my guest on the Outlaw Nation show. Finally, I get to sit this man down for 2 hours, and I'm going to grill him about everything. No, we're going to have a great time talking and catching up about our time together at Florida State. Also, how the Schmodown happened, everything that we've ever battled about. It'll be a fun conversation at 3 o'clock. So make sure you have your Streamlabs Super Chats and possibly Outlaw bots ready for that one. And one more thing here, and this is pretty good. If you're a fan of the Top 10 show, if you're a patron of the Top 10 show, we finally have a logo for the new show we're doing for the patrons, or the patrons are participating in. It's called the Golden Ticket. That's right, the Golden Ticket. Shout out to Brian Ward for creating that incredible logo. So we are it's basically a Jeopardy style show that we are doing, where our patrons are fighting each other, battling each other, and whoever comes out of this whole tournament will be a guest for one of the episodes of the Top 10 show. And look, there's 62 people participating, so it's going to be a lot of people involved in this one. It's going to take some time, but it's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to be announcing the details and all of that very soon. We're going to be doing a dry run on Wednesday, and then maybe recording some episodes on Thursday to be dropping soon. So looking forward to making that all happen on the Top 10 show. Of course, the Cinephiles, we just dropped our most recent episode, is up there now for you to listen to. Me and Steve Morris talking about the 1980 film, Oh God, from Carl Reiner, who just passed away. We did it as a dedication. John Denver, George Burns, Terry Garr, Paul Sorvino in this thing. Very funny film from 1980 that actually is damn topical today still, if you watch it and appreciate that kind of conversation. So all of that happening for sure. And there's an announcement coming about this particular show that I think is going to blow the doors off people's expectations for this show. I can't wait to announce it. There's going to be a person added to that logo, and when it's announced, I can't wait to say who it is, and I'm looking forward to it. We're finally finalizing the logo now, and I'll drop an announcement later on this week. So, all right, that's it for the Outlaw Nation. Thank you so much for watching Mornings with the Outlaw this morning. Please give it one final like, and if you're watching this after we recorded it, leave a comment down below. Comments help raise the visibility of the show and raise the visibility of the Outlaw Nation as well. Please subscribe down below. Follow me at The Rocha Says on Twitter and on Instagram. And right above, Patreon. Come and join me on my Patreon. 4 shows that they've all debuted now for the patrons can participate in, or patrons get first. Those are happening on the Patreon as well. Plus, we've been having some great hangouts recently where people have been quizzing me in preparation for Ethan. We've been having these 2-hour hangouts where they just drill me over and over again about trivia and movie trivia and see where I'm at. So it's really great. We had 11 people with us last night for 2 hours, asking rounds of 5 questions each for 2 hours. It's fantastic. So come be a part of the Outlaw Nation and come train me for Ethan as well. All right, that's it. Much love to all of you. 10 o'clock this morning, in about 10 minutes, come join me over there at SEN Live as I host that show as well. Thank you to Alex Shashek. Great stuff. We're going to go and watch 500 Days of Summer a little bit later, sometime down the road. And let us know what you think in the comment section below as well about everything we did. Much love to all of you, and we'll talk to you on Friday for another brand new episode of Mornings with the Outlaw. Have yourselves a great week until then. Take care. And Alex, what do we tell them?
Wear a damn mask.
Wear your damn mask.